The aliens drifted through the dark emptiness of space aboard their silver ships that shimmered like frozen lakes under distant stars. They had traveled for centuries, seeking knowledge and power, and now they found themselves hovering above a small, blue world that pulsed with life unlike anything they had catalogued before. They expected fragile creatures with soft bodies and weak minds, but as their sensors swept over the planet, they noticed anomalies that puzzled even their most advanced AI units. The readings were inconsistent, but the humans they observed were walking through deserts without protection, walking through storms that would have crushed any other species, and somehow they seemed to adapt to temperature and pressure that should have been lethal. Their skin glistened under sun rays that would have burned other life forms to ash. They moved with a strange mixture of carelessness and confidence that made the aliens' neural networks struggle to understand the patterns of survival, and the aliens began taking notes, recording every heartbeat, every blink, every breath, every gesture, as if trying to reverse engineer what made these creatures so inexplicably alive. They saw a man standing on a cliff overlooking a vast canyon. The winds howled around him, carrying dust and small stones that slapped against his face, and yet he did not flinch. He raised his hand to shield his eyes and continued to stare at the horizon as if daring the universe to do its worst. And the aliens whispered to each other through vibrations that were inaudible to human ears. Is this normal? Is this survival? Or is it madness for the human beside him? Walked a small girl, her feet bare against the scorching sand. Yet she smiled, as if the sun itself were her companion. She bent down to pick up a small rock and threw it at a cactus that sprouted stubbornly through the earth. She laughed when it bounced off. She shrugged and continued walking. It was the simplicity of her actions that fascinated the aliens, not the complexity, but the complete disregard for danger. The humans moved together like a flock, yet their flock was not organized. Their behavior was chaotic and unpredictable, and yet it worked. They hunted small creatures for food using sticks and stones that were nothing compared to the technology the aliens had, but somehow they managed to trap and kill with astonishing precision. The alien sensors tried to measure the strain on their muscles, the chemical reactions in their blood, the cellular regeneration, and nothing added up. Nothing made sense. The humans were fragile, yet they survived storms that should have shredded them into pieces. They were soft, yet they endured heat and cold that would have frozen or burned any other life form, and every observation created more confusion. Their leader, a tall being with skin that reflected starlight, leaned over the main console and adjusted the sensors, their eyes glowing with a mixture of fear and curiosity. This is impossible, they said to themselves. They must be lying in their reports. They must be exaggerating. There is no way a species could be this resilient, and yet every scan, every moment of observation proved otherwise. Below the cliffs, the humans gathered water from a small stream that ran through the rocks. They laughed and splashed each other, dripping with the cold liquid that would have killed other species. The aliens zoomed in on the tiniest details, the way their fingers bent without injury, the way their lungs expanded and contracted under the extreme exertion, the way their hearts pumped blood that carried not just oxygen, but an unknown energy that made the humans bounce back from exhaustion faster than anything recorded before. The aliens began to theorize. Maybe their biology was broken. Maybe their bodies were not meant to survive. And yet they did survive. Maybe the flaws were not flaws at all, but secrets hidden inside their flesh and their bones, and their heart secrets that allowed them to conquer pain and fear without understanding it themselves. As night fell, and the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with colors no alien eye had ever catalogued, the humans continued their activities, walking through tall grass and shadows of strange beasts that lurked silently waiting for prey. And the humans noticed nothing. They moved with purpose, yet without a plan, improvising with instinct and courage that defied all logic. Aliens watched as one human girl climbed a tree and plucked fruit that hung just beyond reach, her fingers gripping the branches with strength that should not have existed. And when she slipped, she fell with a scream that was more excitement than fear and landed on her feet with a stumble and a laugh that echoed through the forest, and the aliens were stunned. Every calculation they made had predicted injury or death, and yet she was unharmed. She ran to join her companion, a boy who had been attempting to catch a small animal with a net that looked like it was made of woven grass and mud. And together they continued their game, as if the world had no limits, as if danger was a story told by other creatures, and not their own reality. The aliens felt a strange sensation they had never recorded before. They felt awe mingled with fear and a tiny thread of envy. The humans were so alive, so unpredictable, so flawed in every way that should have destroyed them. And yet here they were, and the alien leader leaned closer to the display and whispered to their crew, "Do you see what I see? These creatures are impossible. They are weak and strong, fragile and unstoppable, broken and perfect." And as the first night fell over the planet, and the stars shimmered in the sky like jewels scattered on black velvet, the aliens recorded every heartbeat, every breath, every laugh, every fall, and every triumph of the humans below. And they knew this was only the beginning, that humanity was a puzzle that could not be solved by technology or intellect alone, that it was alive in a way that defied rules, and that, to understand it fully, they would have to watch and wait and learn, because humanity's biology was wrong in every possible way and yet somehow perfect in ways the galaxy had never seen. The next day, the aliens continued their silent observation from high above their ships that hovered like predators in the thin atmosphere of the blue planet they watched as humans moved. Through forests dense with vegetation and full of hidden dangers, every step they took seemed reckless, and yet nothing stopped them. A human man waded through a rushing river that churned and foamed around sharp rocks that would have shredded any other creature. He raised his arms to balance himself and laughed as the water slapped his body with cold that should have frozen him to the bone. And on the riverbank, a group of children chased each other, weaving between trees and leaping over fallen logs, their bare feet slapping the wet earth. Yet not a single scrape appeared on their skin. And the aliens could not understand how the humans' bodies resisted injury, how their muscles absorbed shock and strain without lasting damage. It was as if their biology had rewritten the rules of survival. The aliens zoomed in on the human cells, observing the way their bodies healed. Small cuts almost instantly, and bruises faded in moments. And when one boy tripped on a tree root and fell face first into mud, he jumped up laughing and shook the dirt from his hair as if nothing had happened. And the aliens' leader adjusted the sensors and murmured, "This is absurd. This should not be happening, and yet it is happening everywhere on the planet." And it was not only the resilience of their bodies that puzzled the aliens, but also the humans' ability to think and adapt in situations that would have overwhelmed other species. The humans used sticks and stones as tools and weapons, improvising traps from branches and vines to catch small animals that ran faster and hid deeper than any predator. The aliens ran simulations trying to calculate their efficiency, and every time the outcome predicted failure, and every time the humans succeeded. And the aliens' curiosity shifted from fear to fascination to something they had never encountered before. Admiration mingled with confusion. The humans were not a perfect species. Their bodies were soft, their bones fragile, and yet their instincts combined with courage created something stronger than the sum of their weaknesses. They walked barefoot over stones that would have broken the feet of any other species they ran through, thorny bushes that tore through clothing and skin. And yet they emerged laughing and carrying the fruit or animal they had claimed for themselves, and one human woman climbed a steep cliff without ropes or assistance, gripping small protrusions of rock with hands that should have shredded under pressure. And as she reached the top, she raised her arms and shouted into the wind, and the echoes carried across valleys and rivers, and the alien sensors registered a surge of energy from her body that they could not explain. It was not electricity or magnetism. It was something alive, something raw that connected her to everything around her. And the aliens watched a group of humans working together to construct a shelter using mud and sticks that were soft and weak compared to the metals and composites used in alien engineering. Yet the humans built it with speed, precision, and care, improvising when a branch broke or a hole appeared in the mud wall. And every time they encountered failure, they laughed, shrugged, and continued, undeterred. And the aliens began recording notes faster than ever before, documenting their heart rates, their respiration, their coordination, their laughter, their instinct and their fear, and most importantly, their refusal to be broken or destroyed. And in the distance, a storm began to form, dark clouds rolling over mountains and across plains, lightning cracking and thunder shaking the ground. The humans noticed it and paused for only a moment to glance at. The sky then continued working. Some ran to gather materials and secure their shelters. Some stood outside, lifting their faces to the rain that began to fall hard and cold, and the aliens could not comprehend it. The humans danced in the rain, their bodies soaked, their skin chilled, yet not a single human showed signs of harm. They moved as if the storm itself were a companion rather than a threat. And one child jumped into a puddle, sending water flying over her friends, and they joined in laughing. And shrieking, the aliens' crew adjusted all instruments to measure what energy or chemical reaction kept the humans warm and alive and safe, and every reading contradicted the last. It was impossible. Every theory of survival was violated, and the aliens began to discuss amongst themselves, could it be that their biology was intentionally broken? A design meant to defy comprehension. A paradox built into the very core of their existence. And as night fell, the humans sat around fires. They had built with patience and care without the smoke detectors and fire suppression systems of the alien worlds. They cooked food over flames that should have singed their skin. And yet they handled the fire with bare hands, moving logs and embers, as if they were water in their hands, and the aliens could not believe what they were seeing. A small boy reached for a glowing ember and held it for a heartbeat. His hand unburned, his eyes wide with joy and pride, and the aliens recorded every detail, trying to store the knowledge for centuries because no one could understand it fully yet. And as the humans shared stories around the fire, telling tales of animals and adventures and storms and mistakes and successes, they laughed at themselves and comforted each other. The aliens noticed something that no instrument could measure, something invisible yet undeniable. A resilience in spirit, a strength in heart, a refusal to surrender to danger or despair. And the leader of the alien vessel finally whispered to their crew, "We are not observing biology. We are observing courage. We are observing instinct. We are observing the impossible. They are fragile and strong. They are weak and indestructible. They are everything we cannot be." And the humans slept under stars that shone brighter than any artificial light. The night air cool and crisp, and yet they remained safe, wrapped in blankets or exposed to the elements, without injury, without complaint, as if their bodies and minds were wired to endure anything. And the aliens kept watching and learning and wondering and knowing that the humans of this planet were a species that could not be calculated or conquered, a species that turned weakness into strength and fragility into power. And in that moment, the aliens understood one simple, terrifying truth. Humanity's biology was wrong in every way that mattered, and that wrongness was exactly what made them unstoppable. As dawn broke, the humans woke to the world drenched in mist. The fog hung low over the forests and rivers, twisting like silent serpents through the valleys, and the aliens observed from above, their sensors capturing every motion, every breath, every flicker of movement, and the humans did not pause or fear the chill that seeped into their bones. They moved with purpose, collecting water from streams and gathering food from the forest, their bodies bending, twisting, leaping over roots and rocks, their eyes sharp, their hands steady, and the aliens could not understand how their fragile frames resisted exhaustion, how their hearts pumped with unrelenting force and their lungs drew in cold, damp air without hesitation or harm. A young woman ran along the riverbank, her feet sinking into mud, yet her stride never faltered. She leapt onto stones that slid beneath her weight and landed with balance and grace that defied physics, and from the trees above, monkeys and birds scattered at her approach, and she laughed, a sound clear and bright that carried over the water, and the aliens recorded the vibrations and chemicals released in her voice, trying to decipher the courage, the audacity that radiated from every human cell. And deeper in the forest, a group of humans discovered a fallen tree that blocked their path. They examined it for a moment, and then, with hands bare and muscles straining, they lifted and rolled it enough to squeeze through, and not a single scratch marred their skin. Not a single tendon tore in the process. The aliens simulated the same maneuver on every known species, and all calculations predicted failure. And yet the humans succeeded again and again, and in the distance a predator watched from the shadows, a massive beast with teeth sharp enough to shatter bones. It crouched low and then lunged at the humans without warning. But they scattered instantly with coordination and speed that no algorithm could match. Some climbed trees. Others ran into the undergrowth, and the predator struck at air, missing every target, and the humans regrouped, laughing, exchanging words that contained warning and humor and strategy. And the aliens adjusted their instruments to measure fear and pain. And all readings returned null because the humans did not experience panic the way other species did. They acknowledged danger and chose how to act, and that choice made them untouchable. The aliens began to whisper to each other in low tones. This is impossible. This species should not exist in this form. And yet here, they are. Every flaw they possess becomes a strength. Every weakness turns into opportunity. A child ran barefoot across thorns and jagged rocks. A deep cut opened on his foot, and within moments it sealed, and the boy continued running, calling to friends to race him across the field, and the alien zoomed in on the cellular structure of his wound. Noting accelerated regeneration and blood clotting and nerve recovery that defied every medical principle known to the universe. And as the day wore on, the humans faced more challenges. Sudden storms whipped the trees with wind so strong it bent trunks and tore leaves. They sought shelter under cliffs and rock overhangs. Others ran into caves, and yet some stood in the rain, faces lifted to the sky, embracing the tempest as if it were a celebration. And the aliens measured electrical currents in the air. The temperature dropped the saturation of water in the soil, and yet no human suffered hypothermia or shock or panic. Instead, they moved as if they were part of the storm, using branches as levers to divert water away from their shelters. And others created dams and small streams to prevent flooding. And the aliens could not calculate how instinct and intellect merged in these fragile creatures to create solutions that were both elegant and effective. And in a nearby village, humans gathered to build a bridge over a river that had swollen from the storm. The logs were slick, the rocks unstable, and yet with rope and hands, they wove supports and beams and pulled each log into place, testing balance and weight distribution, constantly adjusting, as one would adjust a sail in a storm. The aliens marveled at their improvisation, noting coordination and communication that exceeded any hive species they knew. And when a log slipped, nearly crushing a human foot, he jumped aside, barely missing it, and laughed, brushing off the close call as if danger were a game. And the aliens could not understand how laughter could exist in the presence of real peril, how joy could persist where death lurked, yet it did persist, and it strengthened the humans, making them bolder, more daring, more alive. And in the evening, the humans gathered again around fires, cooking food. They had hunted or gathered. The flames flickered across their faces, highlighting scars and dirt and sweat. And yet the light seemed to energize them. Every word, every gesture filled with purpose and history and pride. And one elder recounted a story of ancestors surviving far harsher winters and wider predators, and the children listened wide-eyed, absorbing lessons not just of survival, but of endurance and courage. And the aliens realized that what they were seeing was not merely biology. It was culture. It was tradition. It was the transmission of willpower and ingenuity across generations. And even as darkness fell and the forest came alive with unseen creatures hunting in the night, the humans slept in groups, careful yet relaxed, their fires guarded yet inviting, and the aliens noted every heartbeat, every breath, every twitch, and yet found no indication of fear or vulnerability, only trust and vigilance and resilience intertwined into a single force. And a lone human scout woke in the middle of the night, sensing a shift in the air, a predator stalking silently. He did not shout, he did not panic. He tracked and observed his surroundings, his senses alert, his mind calculating paths and opportunities. And when the predator emerged from shadows, he acted instantly, leading it away from the sleeping group, using speed and misdirection. And the creature followed his movements, unable to catch him, yet impressed by the audacity and intelligence displayed. And when he returned to the camp, the scout shared a silent smile with his companions, and the aliens recorded every detail, trying desperately to catalog the essence of what they witnessed. But every measurement failed, every hypothesis crumbled, because what they were observing was more than survival. It was adaptation, it was instinct, it was courage, and it was hope in pure, unrelenting form. And the aliens' leader finally spoke aloud, acknowledging the truth. We study their flesh. We study their blood. We study their cells, and it tells us nothing alone. It is the combination of mind, body, and spirit that makes them impervious. The humans are weak in all the ways a normal species should fear, and yet they are strong in every way that counts. And as the night deepened, the stars above the humans twinkled like silent witnesses, and the humans dreamed dreams of survival, dreams of adventure, dreams of laughter and triumph, and the aliens hovered above, unable to fully understand and yet compelled to learn from these creatures whose biology was impossible, whose courage was infinite, and whose existence was a challenge to every law of life that the aliens had ever known. And they whispered among themselves, "The humans are impossible. They are chaos, they are fragility turned into power. They are everything we thought we understood, and yet they endure and thrive." And the aliens knew one certainty for the first time in their existence, that this species would never be defeated, because the humans of this world turned everything that should have killed them into reason to rise stronger. The sun rose over the horizon, casting golden light over the humans as they stirred from their night of rest. The forest was alive with the sounds of movement, and the humans moved through it with purpose, their senses alert, their muscles ready for any challenge that might emerge, and the aliens watched from above, unable to fully comprehend the combination of fragility and strength that defined these creatures. Every bone, every organ, every cell seemed inadequate for the world around them. Yet they survived and thrived, and the humans did not waste time. They began to prepare for a journey, a long trek across rugged terrain where mountains rose like jagged teeth and rivers cut deep valleys. The elder gathered the group around, sharing knowledge passed down through generations. Stories of ancestors who crossed deserts and oceans, storms and predators, and every word carried weight because it was proof of endurance, and the humans listened, absorbing strategy and wisdom, their minds calculating paths and options. And as they moved out of the village, the forest seemed to test them, roots reaching for feet, branches scratching skin. But the humans did not falter. They leapt over obstacles and ducked under low-hanging limbs, their vision scanning for danger and opportunity at every step. And in the distance, a massive shadow moved across the valley, a creature unfamiliar. To the humans at first, it watched silently, its eyes glowing faintly in the morning light, but the humans did not panic. They slowed their pace, assessing the threat, analyzing its behavior, as if instinct and intellect combined to form a single force. And when the creature charged, they scattered with precision, a young man diving into a thicket while another vaulted onto a rock that shook under his weight, yet held firm, and the aliens recorded the events, noting speed and adaptability that defied every calculation they attempted. And deeper into the mountains, the humans encountered a narrow gorge, a river raging below, and the only path forward was a treacherous ridge slick with rainwater and loose stones many species would have balked at. The sight, their instincts screaming retreat. Yet the humans did not hesitate. They moved in single-file, hands gripping rock faces, feet testing every foothold. They communicated in short, sharp bursts, words and gestures, combining into a language of efficiency and survival. And a sudden rock slide threatened to send several tumbling into the abyss. But they reacted instantly, using poles and ropes, improvising anchors with fallen branches, creating a makeshift ladder that allowed the group to cross safely. And the aliens noted the cooperation, the ingenuity, the ability to turn disaster into progress, as though every weakness in their biology had been transformed into a tool of survival. And higher on the ridge, another challenge awaited. A blizzard of snow swept down from the peaks, reducing visibility to nothing and piercing through their clothes. But the humans pressed on, wrapping scarves and leaves around their faces, using fire embers to melt snow into water, and their bodies endured temperatures that should have frozen them instantly. And a human child slipped on ice and fell, but immediately rolled to reduce impact, and sprang up laughing, dusting snow off shoulders. And the elders smiled at the resilience of the young. And the aliens recorded their cardiovascular rates and cellular activity, noting that despite exhaustion, hypothermia should have set in, and yet none of the humans displayed signs of serious harm. They pressed onward and higher. Still, the wind howled. Around them, carrying the scent of danger from above, a flock of massive birds circled a peak, scanning the humans as potential prey. But the humans anticipated movement, predicting the trajectory of flight, and they moved to cover, ducking behind rocks and trees until the threat passed. And the aliens could not reconcile how creatures with such fragile frames could exist in a world designed to tear them apart. And yet they did exist, and thrive, and survive. The humans set camp for the night in a small cave, the wind roaring outside, but the humans huddled together, sharing warmth, sharing food, sharing stories of past journeys and survival. And one human climbed to the cave entrance to watch the stars above the sky clear and filled with points of light that guided their ancestors. And the humans drew patterns tracing constellations, connecting them to stories of endurance and courage, and the aliens hovered outside the cave, scanning every signal, every heartbeat, every breath, trying to decode the essence of what made humans impervious to fear and weakness. And inside the cave, a human elder told the story of a great predator that once hunted their ancestors across plains and forests. How many fell, but how many survived, and in the telling, the humans absorbed lessons not just of survival, but of instinct, of strategy, of courage, of choosing action over fear. And as the firelight flickered across faces tired but alert, the humans slept in shifts, eyes always open to danger, and the aliens noted the coordination, the trust, the shared responsibility, and understood that no single weakness could break a species that moved as one. Even as one individual was vulnerable altogether, they formed a force unstoppable in its persistence, and at dawn the humans awoke, ready to continue their journey. The storm had passed, leaving debris and new obstacles, but they welcomed the challenge. They moved with anticipation, their minds and bodies synced with the world around them, predicting paths and risks, and the aliens followed in silent awe, recording every action, every decision, noting that the human mind adapted faster than any simulation could predict. Their bodies compensated for injuries and fatigue in ways that no species had evolved to do, and as they approached a cliff that dropped into a deep valley, the humans paused, assessing the drop, calculating jumps, finding ledges, testing grips, and then they leapt with grace and precision, landing safely across the chasm. And the aliens tried to calculate probability and physics, but every equation failed because the humans did not obey ordinary rules. They bent them with ingenuity and instinct, and as they regrouped on the other side, one human reached out to help another over a precarious rock, and the gesture embodied cooperation, courage, and the power of choice that made the humans extraordinary and higher. Still in the mountains, a low rumble shook the ground. The aliens scanned for threats and detected movement, a massive predator, ancient and enormous, moving through the passes with awareness and cunning beyond ordinary creatures. And the humans did not retreat. They observed their opponent, tracking its movements, predicting its path, and preparing for strategy. And even when the predator lunged, the humans adapted faster than the creature could react, slipping past claws and teeth, guiding it away from weaker members and drawing it into traps improvised from natural obstacles. And the aliens witnessed again the impossible combination of frailty and mastery, courage and intelligence that defined humanity. And they whispered to each other, unable to comprehend fully these creatures that laughed in the face of danger, that survived when all odds predicted death, that reshaped weakness into power. And they knew that no matter what the universe threw at humans, they would endure, because their biology was only the surface. Their mind, their will, their courage, their ability to act and adapt was infinite, and in that moment the aliens understood a truth. They had not before. Humanity was not just alive, it was unstoppable. The humans moved through the mountains with eyes alert and senses sharp, their minds always calculating possibilities and their bodies always ready for action. The terrain grew more dangerous with each step. Jagged rocks twisted underfoot, and hidden crevices threatened to swallow an unprepared traveler. Yet the humans adapted, their movements flowing like water over obstacles, learning from every misstep and every success. Their instinct and intelligence merged into one, and ahead a shadow passed across the ridge. Something large and unfamiliar. The aliens hovered silently, watching and trying to analyze the situation, their sensors detecting heat and motion, but failing to predict human responses. And then the humans saw it, a massive alien predator. Unlike anything they had faced before, it towered above them with limbs that seemed too long and muscles too powerful. Its eyes glowed with an eerie intelligence, and its roar shook the mountains. But the humans did not panic. They spread out, using terrain for cover, observing the creature and anticipating its moves, calculating its speed and angles, and as it lunged, one human rolled to the side. Another leapt up a rock, forming a barrier between the predator and the rest, and the group worked together, moving as one unit, each action supporting the other. The predator swiped with claws that could crush bone, but the humans dodged and feinted, using sticks and stones to distract and confuse the beast. And even as one was grazed by a claw, they used adrenaline and instinct to continue fighting, while another human lured the predator toward a narrow path where it could not move freely, and the aliens recorded every decision, noting that the humans used not just strength but creativity and communication in ways no species before had shown. And the predator roared in frustration, its intelligence matched only by the humans' unpredictability, and when it lunged, again they split and moved around it, trapping it in a natural funnel formed by cliffs and boulders. And the predator struggled, and the humans pressed forward not to destroy, but to survive and guide it away from the group and higher in the mountains. Snow began to fall, thick flakes obscuring vision and making footing treacherous. Yet the humans pressed on, their senses tuned to the slightest sound and movement, their bodies compensating for cold and exhaustion, their minds predicting the fall of rocks and the drift of snow as if instinct and calculation were one. And in the midst of the blizzard, a human child slipped, but another hand shot out, catching it before it could fall. The child gasped and smiled, and they continued onward, and the aliens scanned every heartbeat, every motion, trying to calculate the probability of survival. But the humans defied every model, every equation. And as the storm raged, the group discovered a hidden cave, a shelter carved into the mountainside, ancient and untouched, and they entered immediately, shielding themselves from wind and snow. They made a fire using flint and kindling, and the warmth spread through their bodies, giving strength and hope. And as they rested, one human climbed to the entrance, peering into the storm, counting the seconds between flashes of lightning and listening to the roar of thunder, mapping the path they would take when the storm passed. And the aliens observed in silence, noting that humans could endure conditions that should have ended life instantly, and yet they survived and thrived, and even in exhaustion their coordination and focus remained unmatched. And when the storm subsided, the humans emerged, the world transformed by snow and ice. They moved carefully, leaving footprints behind, a map of survival for those who would follow, and they encountered tracks of a larger predator from the night before. And the group slowed, moving cautiously, assessing and predicting movements. And one human stepped onto a thin patch of ice, breaking through into frigid water below. Yet the others reacted immediately, forming a chain, pulling the person to safety. Their hands gripping strength against strength, their trust absolute. And the aliens tried to process this teamwork, this instinct, this resilience that allowed humans to survive falls and attacks and nature itself and higher up the ridge. Another challenge appeared, a cliff of vertical stone towering impossibly above them, and the humans examined it from below, calculating angles and potential paths, each person contributing to strategy. And together they improvised ropes using vines and sticks, climbing aids from rocks and debris. And one by one they ascended, using every ounce of strength and balance. And when a human slipped, another caught it, immediately adjusting weight and position to maintain balance and prevent disaster. And the aliens recorded again, noting cardiovascular output, muscle coordination, and neurological responses. And yet even these metrics could not explain why humans could survive falls and strain that should have ended their journey. Yet every time they survived, adapting instinctively and intelligently and reaching the top, they paused, looking out across the mountains, a panorama of peaks, valleys, and forests stretching as far as vision could reach, and the humans smiled silently, knowing they had overcome every challenge the terrain had thrown at them, and the predator from before had not returned yet. The lesson remained clear, that every day was a test, and every challenge could be met with ingenuity, courage, and persistence. And the aliens hovered at a distance, amazed that creatures so fragile in structure could bend reality itself through adaptation, endurance, and willpower. And the humans moved onward, descending into a valley where vegetation was dense and food plentiful. They foraged and hunted using tools and techniques refined through centuries, and even with fatigue their minds remained alert, their coordination unmatched in every encounter with danger. Every challenge with nature, every interaction between them reinforced the strength of the species, and they paused at the edge of a river, its waters rapid and cold, and a human elder examined it, tracing currents and rocks, calculating the safest path. And when a human child wandered near the water, another reached out, instinctively guiding the young one back to safety. And in that moment the aliens understood that the human's biology was only a foundation. Their true strength lay in mind, body, and will combined. And as they crossed the river using fallen logs and rocks for support, they laughed and shouted encouragement to each other, their joy and determination unbroken. And in The forest beyond, they saw the signs of another predator watching from above, its eyes glinting with curiosity. But the humans pressed forward, not with fear, but with awareness and confidence, knowing that no matter the challenge, their ability to adapt to the world made them unstoppable. And the aliens noted again and again that the humans were unlike any species they had ever encountered, and they began to whisper to one another the truth that would echo across stars, that no matter how fragile they seemed, humans were designed to survive, thrive, endure, and overcome anything the universe could throw at them. The humans moved through the dense forest, their senses alive to every sound and movement, the canopy above filtering sunlight into shifting patterns on the ground beneath their feet. Each step measured and deliberate, yet instinctive, as they navigated fallen logs and tangled roots, and the air was thick with the scent of damp earth and growing things, and somewhere in the distance, a predator growled low and cautious, and the humans paused, listening, their heads tilting slightly, tracking the vibrations in the ground and the rustle of leaves, and the alien observers could not believe what they were witnessing. The humans were reacting to signals they could barely comprehend, their awareness exceeding anything their sensors could calculate. And then the predator appeared, a massive creature with teeth like jagged stone and claws that could tear through metal. It moved silently, and the humans split immediately, taking positions around the group using natural cover, and each person was connected to the others through glances, subtle gestures, and shared intuition. And a human warrior held a spear fashioned from a strong branch, and another held a bow and arrow. The tension in the forest was palpable, and the predator lunged with a speed no one expected. But the humans were faster, their reactions guided by experience and instinct, and they dodged and feinted, moving as if the forest itself was part of their body. And one human rolled under a swipe, and another leapt onto a fallen tree, bringing themselves to eye level with the predator, keeping its attention divided. And then the humans began to fight, back not recklessly but strategically, luring the predator toward a narrow gorge, where its size and strength became a disadvantage. And as the predator roared and clawed, the humans coordinated their attacks, using every distraction and diversion possible, and one human used a mirror to reflect sunlight into the predator's eyes, stunning it momentarily, while another triggered a loose boulder to fall in its path, forcing it to stumble. And the aliens recorded each move, astonished by the humans' coordination and adaptation, noting that no calculation could predict every choice and every variation. And even when one human was grazed by a claw, they continued without hesitation, using adrenaline and determination to fuel their response. And then the predator made a desperate charge, attempting to escape, and the humans anticipated it, splitting in different directions but maintaining connection, using the forest and terrain to channel the predator into a trap. And as the predator entered the gorge, the humans closed in from both sides, using ropes and nets and improvised weapons to restrain the creature, and the predator fought with power and intelligence. But the humans did not falter, their timing perfect, their teamwork flawless, and finally the predator, exhausted and trapped, allowed the humans to step back and catch their breath, their chests heaving, their bodies trembling from exertion, and yet their minds sharp-focused and alert. And the aliens watched in awe, unable to process how creatures with such apparent fragility could dominate a beast so massive and powerful. And the humans did not celebrate violently. They respected the predator for its strength, acknowledging it as a worthy opponent, and their communication was wordless, their actions speaking volumes. The predator slowly retreated, leaving the gorge, and the humans followed cautiously, maintaining distance and observing every movement. The forest seemed to recognize them as equals, and as the day waned, sunlight filtering through the leaves, casting long shadows, the humans discovered a hidden glade, a place of calm and abundance, water clear and fish plentiful and fruits hanging low. And they paused, taking in the serenity, yet remaining vigilant, their senses never resting for a moment. And as night approached, they built a fire not just for warmth, but to signal presence and community, the flames flickering shadows across their faces. And the aliens recorded the subtle micro-expressions, the way humans comforted one another, offering warmth and reassurance after the confrontation. And even in the dark, their vigilance remained unbroken, listening for sounds and tracking movements of every living thing around them. And then the sky changed, a deep red, and clouds rolled in, signaling a storm, and the humans immediately took action. gathering, supplies securing shelter and fortifying positions with branches and stones improvising. As always, adapting and anticipating the storm's path, and the aliens could not believe it. Their models breaking down their predictions, failing as the humans, overcame obstacle after obstacle using instinct, intelligence, and raw courage combined. And the wind howled through the trees. Rain fell in sheets, drenching everything. Yet the humans moved with purpose, their bodies adjusting to the cold and wet, their minds racing to keep everyone safe, and even when lightning struck a tree dangerously close, they reacted instantly, pulling one another to safety with perfect timing and coordination, their laughter and encouragement echoing against the storm, a reminder of resilience and unity. And as the storm raged, they huddled together in a cave near the glade, their bodies pressed against one another, sharing heat and strength. And in that moment, they were more than individuals. They were a single organism, a force of nature capable of overcoming anything the universe could throw at them. And the aliens hovered in disbelief, scanning, measuring, recording every heartbeat and motion, and every time the humans adapted to a new threat, every time they improvised using nothing but natural materials and pure instinct, the aliens had to acknowledge a terrifying truth that no species they knew could match the humans' resilience, intelligence, and adaptability. And when the storm finally passed and the sun rose, the humans emerged, renewed, moving into the forest with energy unbroken, and their eyes shone with determination and curiosity, and the predator from before had vanished, leaving only signs of its passage. But the humans did not hesitate. They pressed forward, exploring, learning, surviving, thriving, using every sense, every skill, every ounce of strength. And the aliens whispered among themselves that the universe had underestimated humans, that no matter the challenge, the odds, the danger, they would prevail. And in that moment it became clear that humanity was not just another species. It was a force of nature, a creature of mind, body, and spirit that bent reality itself through determination, creativity, and sheer willpower. The humans moved forward with the sunrise painting, the forest gold, and their senses were sharp. Every sound, every movement, every shift of the wind registered in their minds as they navigated through the dense undergrowth, and the aliens hovered nearby, their sensors unable to fully comprehend the humans' awareness or the speed of their thought. And then the humans came upon a clearing, unlike any they had seen before. Jagged rock formations rose from the ground, twisting toward the sky, and strange vegetation pulsed with colors that seemed alive, and the humans did not hesitate. They approached cautiously, their eyes scanning for danger, their muscles coiled like springs ready to respond to any threat, and the aliens whispered to each other that this was a dangerous environment. But the humans seemed unafraid. They moved as if the forest itself guided them, their instincts honed by countless encounters and challenges. And suddenly the ground trembled, a deep vibration that resonated through every bone, and the humans froze, sensing something massive approaching. And then it appeared, a creature, enormous, more massive than any the humans had faced before. Its skin shimmered like molten metal, and its eyes glowed with intelligence and fury, and it roared a sound that shook the trees, and the humans did not run. They spread out, forming a circle, keeping eyes on each other and on the creature. And every movement was deliberate, every breath controlled, and one human lifted a hand signaling others to prepare, and they began to coordinate silently, using glances, gestures, and instincts that no alien algorithm could ever predict. And the creature charged a wall of pure strength, and the humans responded, with agility and strategy, dodging and weaving around its attacks, drawing it into the terrain where its size became a disadvantage, and one human leapt onto a rock, slashing with a blade carved from stone, while another distracted it with a flare. From a simple device, their movements fluid, coordinated, precise, and the aliens watched in awe, recording every split-second decision, every adaptation, every improvisation. The humans were improvising weapons, traps, strategies, using everything at their disposal. And even when one human was thrown by the creature, they immediately rolled to safety, and another ran to provide assistance, their teamwork perfect, their determination unshakable. And then the humans began to use the environment to their advantage, guiding the creature toward a narrow canyon, where the walls would limit its power. And their trap set earlier now became lethal, using ropes, nets, and boulders to channel the creature into positions where its own strength betrayed it. and they fought with a combination of brute force and intelligence, anticipating every movement, using every sense, and the creature roared in frustration, realizing its power was being countered by strategy and unity. And then the humans performed a maneuver that no other species could have executed, coordinating their positions around the canyon, simultaneously pushing boulders and triggering nets, catching the creature in a perfect trap, and it struggled violently trying to escape, and the humans did not hesitate. They pressed forward using momentum and timing, each action amplifying the next, and the aliens observed in disbelief, recording that no calculation could have predicted the outcome. And as the creature slowed, exhausted and trapped, the humans approached cautiously, their weapons ready. But their eyes showed respect, acknowledging the creature as a worthy opponent, and then one human stepped forward, extending a hand, showing understanding that strength alone did not define victory. And the creature lowered its head in recognition, and the humans allowed it to retreat back into the wild where it belonged, and they watched it disappear, their hearts pounding, their bodies trembling from exertion, but their minds sharp and alert. And the aliens noted that the humans' capacity for empathy and strategy combined made them unpredictable, unstoppable. And then the humans set up a temporary camp in the canyon, their fire burning, their group huddled together, sharing warmth and water and food and stories of past encounters. And the aliens realized that these humans survived not just through strength or skill, but through cooperation, intuition, and intelligence that transcended species understanding. And then, as night fell, stars glittering above the humans lay back their eyes on the sky, reflecting on the challenges they had overcome, the dangers faced, and the creatures bested. And in that moment they were silent together, their presence in harmony with the universe around them. And the aliens understood that humanity was more than resilient. It was a force of nature, a species that would endure, thrive, and conquer any adversity that came their way. Because humans did not just survive. They adapted, they learned, they evolved, and they acted as one mind and one heart. And as the humans drifted into sleep, the forest seemed to embrace them. The air filled with sounds of nocturnal life, and the aliens noted that every heartbeat, every breath, every decision demonstrated a species capable of shaping reality itself through determination, courage, and unity. And the humans dreamed not of fear, but of the future of exploration, discovery, and survival. And the aliens knew that no challenge, no enemy, no cosmic force could break them, because humans were built to endure, built to resist, built to conquer. And in that moment, it became undeniable that the universe had underestimated humanity, and that all species would remember the day humans proved that biology and spirit combined created a force unmatched, unstoppable, and eternal. And as dawn approached, the humans woke, their bodies strong, their minds focused, and they prepared to move forward to new territories, new challenges, new victories. And the aliens followed, silently documenting their every action, every step. And they realized the truth that would echo through the cosmos, that humans were not simply another species. They were the apex of adaptation, the embodiment of resilience, and the ultimate proof that the universe had never seen a force like humanity before. And the humans moved forward together, ready for whatever awaited them, knowing that no matter the threat, no matter the obstacle, they would prevail, because this was who they were, and nothing could stop them from conquering every challenge, every enemy, and every corner of the universe, in a display of ingenuity, courage, and unyielding spirit. And thus the story of humans, standing against impossible odds and emerging victorious, was written not in books or records, but in the memory of the universe itself, a testament to what it truly meant to be human. The humans stood on the edge of the cliff, their eyes scanning the horizon, where worlds stretched endlessly before them, and the wind swept across their faces, carrying the scent of adventure, danger, and the unknown. And they felt the weight of every battle fought, every challenge overcome, and yet they did not feel tired. They felt alive, every heartbeat a drum of determination, every breath a promise to continue. And the aliens observed, silently recording every detail, noting the humans' ability to endure, to adapt, to overcome obstacles that would crush other species. And as the sun rose, painting the skies in colors that no machine could replicate, the humans turned their gaze inward, knowing that strength was not just in muscle or bone, but in mind and spirit, in the unity that bound them together as one. And they shared no words, only glances, gestures, and nods. because they understood each other perfectly, and their laughter echoed across the valleys, a sound of triumph and joy, and even the alien observers could feel the energy that radiated from them. The humans did not seek recognition or reward. They sought purpose and challenge, and the unknown. And they were ready to face whatever the universe had hidden in its depths. Because no matter the danger, the humans moved forward. They innovated, they learned, they fought, they healed, and they loved. And through all of it, they inspired those around them, even beings from other worlds, who had never seen such resilience or ingenuity, and the humans knew fear, but they did not succumb to it. They knew pain, but they did not surrender to it. They faced the impossible with courage, and they faced the unimaginable with hope. And as night fell, and the stars shimmered above, like a million eyes watching the journey of a species unlike any other, the humans made camp together, their stories intertwining with the wind, the trees, the rivers, and the mountains around them. And the aliens recorded every heartbeat, every whisper, every flicker of emotion, understanding at last that humans were not merely survivors but architects of their destiny. And the next dawn would bring new worlds, new challenges, new victories. But in that moment, there was peace and reflection, a silent acknowledgement that humanity had transcended ordinary existence and became a force the universe would never forget. And all species who witnessed it would carry the memory forever, knowing that when humans walked into the unknown, they did not stumble, they conquered, they did not cower, they inspired, they did not fail, they endured. And as the humans gazed into the infinite, they smiled at the thought that their journey had only begun, and the universe had no idea what was coming. And in that infinite expanse of stars and possibilities, humanity thrived, unstoppable, united, ingenious, indomitable, and eternal. And the story would be told across galaxies, across ages, across minds, as a testament to the power, the will, and the spirit of humans who refused to be anything less than extraordinary. And thus the humans continued forward, ever vigilant, ever daring, ever relentless, and the universe held its breath in awe and wonder at a species that turned biology into triumph and adversity into legacy. And no force, no entity, no law of nature could diminish their light or halt their march, because humanity was the pulse of life itself, the embodiment of courage, the proof that the impossible was merely a challenge waiting to be met. And the stars themselves seemed to bow in recognition of their journey, and the legacy they carried, and the story of humans would echo through eternity as a lesson, a warning, and an inspiration to all. And the humans smiled, knowing that everything they were, everything they would become, was their own to shape, and nothing would stop them ever. And the wind whispered their names through the cosmos. The rivers sang of their deeds. The mountains held their shadows, and the skies stretched infinitely for their dreams. And the end.